Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. The sound of the shofar, the sound of the trumpet. We welcome everyone into the house of Yah on tonight and to our Torah study. We say shalom, shalom. We blow the shofar, we blow the teruah because we're coming up at that time where we're going to have a feast. The feast of Teruah is upon us. We're in that season. And there's some Israelites that recognize the full moon as the new moon, and everything starts on the full moon. And tonight is a full moon, so a lot of people are celebrating the beginning of the seventh month, and we celebrate the beginning of the month by the first light on the moon, and that's the new moon. But we have some Israelites that believe the full moon is the new moon. But one thing is for sure, we're in that season. And in the book of Deuteronomy, it says that we're to keep the feasts in their seasons, because I don't know if any of us have the exact day that the children of Israel kept it back in the wilderness when it was given unto them from Mount Sinai, and even all the way down to today, because it's been a good more than 3,000 years. And so we're being faithful unto Torah, because He tells us to keep the feast. There's 7 feasts that we keep, and we're coming up on Teruah, and we celebrate the feast of Teruah on October 30th to October 4th. That's the next new moon, which would be the 7th month. The next new moon will be the 7th month, and that's when we're going to keep the feast of Teruah. And then 10 days after that is Atonement, Yom Kippur, the Feast of Atonement. And then 5 days after the Yom Kippur is Sukkot, and it's the Feast of Sukkot, which is an 8-day feast. The 8th day is Shemini Azaret. It's the great day of the feast, that 8th day, and as we recognize the 7-day sequence on the seven feasts, and then the 8th day is entering into eternity, and we're still waiting for that. We're waiting for that final hour, that final 7 days that we go through, to where we keep Shemini Azaret, or we enter into eternity. That's going to be the great day of the feast. That day is coming up. Now, I know some people, they why are you guys keeping those, they call it Jewish holidays and Jewish holy days and things like that. And I would ask you, why do you keep the pagan holidays? Why do you recognize New Year's Day? Why do you have a big celebration, whether you're in the world or in the church? They have a watch night, and if they would really explain to us what a watch night was, many of us wouldn't keep a watch night. But we do it anyway, and then they keep all of the other pagan holidays. Valentine's Day, which is pagan, it's satanic actually. Valentine's Day, then all the other holidays that the Christian church is faithful in keeping. But when you talk about the feast of the Most High Yah, the feast that was given to Yasharel, we ain't got to keep. But I want to say something. If you're not an Israelite, and if you have not joined to the house of Israel, then yeah, you don't have to keep it. It's not commanded for you to keep. It's not on you. So go on with your bad self. But if you are a Israelite, and you are a blood descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are under a covenant. You are under a covenant, and a part of that covenant is the keeping of the feast days, the keeping of His holy days. It's something that we're supposed to do until He returns. And so the reason why a lot of people don't do it, and I just want to start off with this, the reason why a lot of people do not keep, and I hope my volume is real good, everybody can hear me well. The reason why we do not keep or even study or try to understand what the feast days are, it comes from one creed, and I'm going to read that here. It's called Constantine's Creed, and I have it here on my computer, and I know the media room, they'll call it up and put it up there for those who are on the platforms that we're on. But on Constantine's creed, this is the reason why many of those who are in the Christian church saying, hey, we don't have to do that. We don't have to keep that. We haven't done it for generations. Our ancestors haven't done. But this is why. The reason why they don't do it is not the teaching of Yahusha, who they call Jesus Christ. He did not teach you to break any of the commandments or the covenant. The breaking of the covenant came from the Roman Empire. And as we learned the other day in Revelations 12:9, when it says he came to deceive the whole world, in that Greek word, what that Greek word meant, he said specifically the Roman Empire. When you look at Revelations 12:9, specifically the Roman Empire. So the Roman Empire, everything that comes from the Roman Empire is deception. It's deceiving. All of the post-apostolic fathers, I have another slide up here, but if you look at all the post-apostolic fathers, they're all Roman or Greek. They're Roman or Greek. They're Roman philosophers, Greek philosophers, and we're not to follow them. But it says here in the Constantine's Creed, it says, and this is the Roman Emperor Constantine, I renounce all customs, rites, legalism, unleavened breads, and sacrifices of lambs of the Hebrews. He renounces all of that. The practice of the Christian church did not come from Yahushua Mashiach. It did not come from our Messiah. It did not come from our future King. It did not come from our Savior. It didn't come from the one who sacrificed his life for us. It came from the Roman Empire and the Emperor Constantine. This is his creed. Anybody can look it up. This is his creed. This is a part of history. And all of the other feasts of the Hebrews, he renounced it. Sacrifices, prayers, aspirations, purifications, sanctifications, and propitiations, and fasts, and new moons, which means he's not going to follow the Hebrew calendar. I don't care if it's a new moon. It's a new month for us. I don't care. I'm renouncing all that. We're not keeping that. And isn't that what the Christian church says today? We ain't following no new moons. We got the Greco-Roman calendar because the Christian church follows the creed of Constantine. And Sabbath, he renounced the Sabbath, and superstitions, and hymns, and chants, excuse me, and observations, and synagogues. Absolutely everything Jewish, every law, rite, custom, and if afterwards I shall wish to deny and return to Jewish superstition, or shall be found eating with the Jews, and what he means by that is every feast, we're supposed to eat at our feast, and even our weekly feast, when we keep the Sabbath, it's a time to come together and feast. He renounced that. I ain't doing it. I shall wish to deny and return to Jewish superstitions, or shall be found eating with the Jews, or feasting with them, or secretly conversing and condemning the Christian religion, instead of openly confuting them and condemning their vain faith. That's how he thought about our faith, what we're following. How we follow the faith of Torah. We have Amunah. Amunah is faith. And he renounced that. Everything that we believe in, he renounced it. That's why there's such a conflict between us and the Christian church. That's why it's there. It's not there from our Messiah. It's not there from Shaul, the apostle. That's not where it comes from. It comes from Constantine. It would be good if the leaders of the Christian church would recognize this, especially those who are Israelites. But they won't. They refuse to because they're under a spell. Instead of openly confuting them and condemning their vain faith, then let the trembling of Cain. Now listen to this. This is bold. Let the trembling of Cain. Now, who was Cain? He was a murderer. He committed the first murder. And he was scared. He asked the Most High, you put that mark on me, I can't go nowhere. Everybody go kill me. He was trembling. He was scared. Constantine says, let that be on me. And this is who they're following. and the leprosy of Gehazi cleaved to me. And in the Torah, leprosy was a curse. If you had leprosy, that means you was cursed. Only those who were cursed. And he says, I'd rather that be on me. I'd rather that be on me, as well as the legal punishments to which I acknowledge myself. You guys hear this? Liable, which means he knows there's punishment for going against it. He knows it. He knows that there's punishment that goes against it. And may I be anathema in the world to come, and may my soul be set down with Satan and the devils. When I first discovered this and started reading this, I wanted to stay clear of anything that has to do with Constantine's Christianity. I mean, I woke up quick. To me, I didn't have to go into no deep prayer. Hey, y'all, let's pray about this. No. When I started to read this and study this, I don't need to pray about it. I know it's wrong. I know it's wicked. I know anybody who continues to keep his Sunday, and I know Zakim, we're past that. But there's people who listen in and watch on the platforms that they're still stuck here. And so they need to know he put me on the wall. He put me on the wall. And so I want to be able to get this out because time is winding up. And we are coming to a feast that is mandatory for us to keep. It's a feast, and especially Sukkot. Especially Sukkot, and I know we're making plans and everything like that, but if you can keep Sukkot at your house, because in Jerusalem they would be out on the street, or a lot of them would get on the rooftop of their homes, because everybody's supposed to come to Jerusalem. Well, those in Jerusalem, they would just get on the rooftop, or some of them would be out on the street and stuff, and that's why you would see them, tents and sukkahs. They built sukkahs, and that's where they would stay, and it was something that was there's great meaning behind it, and the more you study it and the more you keep it, the deeper understanding is kind of like an onion. You start peeling off more, and he starts revealing more to you, and so this is the feast that we're coming up to, and I just want to put some emphasis on it because we're going to be talking more about it. When you look at the Feast of Teruah that is coming up, when you look at the Feast of Teruah, it is the trumpets, it is the sounding of the alarm. It's and usually when you hear the shofar, or you hear there was different meanings for it. There was different meanings for it. And even in 1 Corinthians, how many of us know what Shaul was saying? He says, when you sound the trumpet, you have to understand what the trumpet is saying, because the people wouldn't know what to do, because a trumpet would give out different sounds. So there was a sound. They had the sound like the feast that we're coming up on. There was a sound for the gathering of Israel. There was a sound that when it was time to go to battle. There was a sound. How many of us set alarms to wake up out of sleep? So a lot of times with the sound of the trumpet, it's a sound to wake up. Wake up. Come on, wake up out of sleep. Come on, y'all. He's given us a lot of practice so that we can prepare ourselves. A sound of the trumpet could also be there's a revealing coming. Something, I'm getting ready to reveal something to you. I'm getting ready to give you some knowledge and some wisdom. So wake up, be alert, be attentive. Sometimes with our children, they're not very attentive in school. They go to class, and the enemy, not in all of the community, because we got some good students. We've got some children that are sharp when it comes to education, and they're coming up, and they're very sharp. But when you look at the whole community as a whole, the enemy is so busy in our community to destroy all of our children, all of our youth, especially our sons. And because he knows how valuable that is. He knows how valuable that is to us. to have our sons raised in Torah and to understand. So there's a time of you set your alarm to wake up in the morning, the time of Teruah. Who knows? I'm getting ready to reveal something to you. Wake up. Come on out of sleep. I'm getting ready to give you a deeper understanding. And so there's a lot of things we can talk about as we lead up to Teruah and the revealing. And what's going on now with our nation, who is the head of NATO, and what they had just did last night, which was, our last night into today, they had another strike within Russia, deep in Russia, not too far from Moscow. And it was so massive, it said it produced like a 2-point-something earthquake. That's how big the explosion was, because they hit one of their ammunition depots or something like. I mean, it was a massive explosion. And before that, Vladimir Putin, when he knew about it, because there's a lot of intelligence, there's stuff that goes in the in the back channels and a lot of intelligence that goes by. He said that if NATO, because he says it's not Ukraine, because Ukraine doesn't have the missile technology. What it just did, Ukraine doesn't have that missile technology. And he says that if it does happen, if you do hit, a long-range missile, then that's a declaration of war. NATO has and they just did it. It's a declaration. So there is a declaration of war between NATO and Russia. They're not going to sit quiet and do nothing. They're not going to let you keep bombing them and eventually hit Moscow, and they're just going to say, keep bombing us? Oh, no. There's going to be some retaliation. And then we see what's going on in Lebanon, in Beirut, Lebanon, and with Hezbollah, and how their pagers, 3,000 of them just blew up and killed. They said the death toll's up to 12, and about 2,000 or something injured or something like that. Well, today there was another strike in Lebanon, and it was walkie-talkies, and they're saying probably cell phones are next, because they have that technology. So today, 8 people perished, and about another 300 to 500. Did you hear about 300 to 500 were injured? So this is warfare on this front. It's not, what's going on around the world is not going to de-escalate. It's not going to de-escalate. This is going to progress. It's going to get bigger. It's going to spread. We are on the doorsteps of World War III, and it's going to be more than a conventional war. So we are, and it's timely. The feast that we're getting ready to go to is very timely, because it's the time of the trumpet, the feast of Teruah. Sound the alarm. Blow the trumpet. It's time to wake up, or I'm getting ready to reveal something to you. You hear an alarm to prepare yourself. And so we see what comes after Teruah is Yom Kippur, or Day of Atonement. And it's a holy day for Yasharel. It's not a holy day for heathens and Gentiles. It's a holy day for Yasharel because of the atonement that he gave unto Yasharel. Now, if you are a foreigner or a stranger and you join yourself to Yasharel, then you join in with the holy day and celebrate the holy day, because if his people is your people and their Elohim is your Elohim, then you're going to do as they do. While you're in Israel, I'm going to do, they got that saying, when in Rome. You know what? They got that from us. They got that from us. Ruth said that. She said, your Elohim's my Elohim. Your people, my people. If y'all do it, I do it. If I'm in Yasharel, I'm going to do as Yasharel. They just picked it up, and then they want to get credit for it. How many of y'all know the devil ain't original? He ain't original. He copies a lot of things that the Most High has already done, has given his people. So we've got trumpets coming up, and so we're so thankful unto Abba Yahuwah on today. And I want to go in Torah. I want to go first to Isaiah chapter 10. I'm going to start at verse 20, probably read 20, 21, 22, because we've been talking about there's a word that you're going to see in here. Well, there's a couple of words that we need to really take note and get a clear understanding of. But verse 20, 21, and 22, and it shall come to pass in that day, the remnant of Yasharel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon Yahuwah, the Holy One of Yasharel, in truth. Notice now, there's some keys in here. Verse number 21, the remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty Elohim. Verse number 22, for though thy people Yasharel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. So this is a prophecy that even Shaul picked up on this. Shaul picked up on this. And we'll look at that in Romans chapter 11. But he picked up on this. But a remnant of Yasharel, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Some of us are looking for the whole nation of Yasharel to wake up and to return. No. A remnant. There's going to be a lot of Yasharel that's just not going to go along with the program. And we see it. We see it in our day. And you try to shake them. You try to scream at them. You talk to them. You go out of your way. Hey, call me anytime. I'll talk to you anytime. What's convenient for you? You would do whatever you can within your means and your ability to work with them and to talk with them. Hey, y'all, it's time to wake up. And when you do wake up, what does he want you to do? When you do wake up, what does he want you to do? He wants you to return. He wants you to shub. So when we look at verse number 21, the remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty Elohim. That return is the word shub. That word shub is used because if Yasharel as a whole, or those who are in the remnant, we cannot get to the end until there's a returning. If we want to, the world is getting so wicked. Man, it's just getting so bad. I mean, the targets out there, our children are targeted, our homes are targeted. I mean, it's just getting so bad. You can't turn anywhere. And there's so many distractions out there. I mean, instead of telling you what's going on with, the wars and stuff and the killing and everything, what's headed up in our media? What's in mainstream media right now? Trump, the assassination attempt on Trump, and Kamala or Kamala, what is it? Kamala, her and Trump, and then what else is big in the news? P. Diddy. And so all these distractions, and that's why it's so important for Trump. Hey, wake up, get your mind focused. Let's get back to what we're supposed to be doing, because you don't know, this might be the last Teruah. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. 2025 might come. I think 2025 will come, but where are you going to be when it comes? Where are we going to be? Because it is getting so close. I believe he's going to have his people that remnant that returns to him. And Shaul calls it the what? Let's go. We're going to come back here to Isaiah, but Romans chapter 11 and verse number 5. Romans 11 and 5. And what does he say? Even so, then, at this present time also, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Those who are the elect. Those who are the elect, it's only a remnant. It's only a remnant. And those who are elect and that remnant are going to be the ones that's going to inherit the kingdom. It's not going to be all of Yasharel. In the next, I would say within the next year or so, there's going to be so much loss of life with all these wars and what's going on now. I mean, the tally of since 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, and that was like February or March of 2022, to where we are today, over 2 years, about 2.5 years, they said the total number of troops between both countries is about 1.2 million soldiers between the two countries. And most of that is the Ukraine army. Ukraine army is practically decimated. They don't have much left. And we're not privy to that because they don't want to put that in the mainstream news media. They have to get your attention focused on something else. And so even now, when we look at all of these things about to happen, and I think it did make one of the mainstream media channels where that missile that went into was only like 50 miles from Moscow, but that hit that military site, armory or ammunition depot. But I think it did go across one of the mainstream media, not all of them, but one of them, and they did touch on it. But that was NATO that did that. Ukraine, they might say Ukraine sent a drone. A drone ain't going. Did anybody see that how they blew it up and that cloud that went up? And then there was other explosions. There was other explosions. Yeah. Yeah, and because they wanted to pass it in Congress, male or female. And if you're 18, you don't have a choice. Soon as you turn 18, you're going in. Yeah, they can go up, but 18, male or female, sons and daughters, yep, you're going up. And so this next, it's going to be a protracted war. I mean, it started in 2022. Actually, I think it started before then, but it's just escalated. It's like what do you call a percolator? Or, you know how that it starts slowly, starts to build up, it starts to whistle, and everything like that. Yeah, and so I think because all of this has to come to pass, and it talks about it in Revelation, but he's going to gather his people. There's going to be a place of refuge for his people. There's going to be a place of refuge for his people. So we have to believe that and understand that. But what he wants us to do in the meantime, especially when we're looking at the trumpets, it's to wake up out of sleep. And he even says in the 13th chapter of Romans, he says it's high time that we awake out of sleep because our day is nearer, our day of redemption is nearer than when what? You first believed. Now, some of us, we believed a long time ago, but he says, hey, it's closer now than when you first believed. You might have thought it was close when you first believed. It's closer now. It's closer now. That's why this book is a living book. it it's a book of life. It's not dead, even though it was written some 3,000. It's a book of life because he says he's the Elohim of the living and not the dead. So the book is alive. So when you first believed and you thought it was close then, oh, it's closer now. It's even closer now. This book is very relevant. It's very relevant to us. So only a remnant is going to return back to him. So how do we return back to him? Well, there's a couple of things. Deuteronomy chapter 30 and verse number 1, and then I want to go to Psalms chapter 119. But it's imperative for us to shub, imperative, which means we have to turn back. We have to go back to a previous, we didn't look that word up, but we looked it up before, right? Yeah, return to the covenant. We have to go back to a place that we once occupied, where, we kept the covenant. We kept the commandments. That's what we did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And plus, I mean, we've been generations in this culture, and this culture and the religion of this culture has taught you that you're Gentiles. They taught, and even the Christian church has taught you that you're Gentiles. I thought I was until he woke me up. I got that teaching from the church. Oh, you're Gentiles. You ought to be glad salvation came to you because you ain't Israel. So they lied to it. I could pick apart the Christian church, and I mean I can, but I know a lot of us. We got friends, we got family, that's still trapped into that ideology and in that religion, because it's not the faith of this book. Because those who are of the faith of this book would not abandon the commandments. We're not going to abandon Torah. Those are instructions on how to live. And so when Christianity tells you you can abandon that, you don't need to keep that, you don't have to do no work, faith alone, grace alone. You ain't got to do nothing, just believe. And that's not true. That's not true. But just the lies that they have told us down through the years, and that's why. So when you tell people, hey, wake up, wake out of sleep, we have to return. We have to go back. And for us, it shouldn't be difficult for us to go back because we got the Ruach. Your Ruach should be telling you that. Because he says when the Ruach of truth is come, he's going to do what? Guide you into all truth. That's just what the Ruach does. Hey, I'm going to lead you into truth. Now, you can have the Ruach and it's leading you into truth, and you can reject it. You can reject the truth. Yeah, hey, it says it there in Torah. Yeah, but that ain't for me. I don't have to do that. I'm in my rest. I don't have to worry about nothing. I'm resting now. No, none of us are resting now. No, none of us. He even said, Yahusha said in I'm gonna come back to Deuteronomy chapter 30, but Yahusha said in Matthew chapter 16 and verse number 27, for the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Abba with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. And so Christianity tells you it's not about works. They lie to you. I mean, it's just, if you look at everything that they say, they lie to you every step of the way. Because Yahusha says, hey, I'm going to reward you according to your works. He said before, he that keeps the commandments and teacheth men so is going to be great. But he that breaketh the commandments and teach men, the least one, is going to be least in the kingdom. I mean, he just goes right, and then Christianity tells you, well, you don't have to keep all those commandments. I mean, it's a lie to you every step of the way. Now, what about those who have the Ruach, those who got the Ruach? But that's why we say if you have the Ruach, it's going to guide you into all truth. And a guide is, has anybody been to a curator at a museum, or, you know, a curator, or I mean, don't they just take you through every exhibit? I mean, it's a walk. It's a guide. You don't talk to the curator at the beginning of the museum and say, hey, I'm your curator. Go on, help yourself. No. The curator takes you to the first exhibit. Let me tell you everything about this, you know, and just breaks it down. Now, here, let's go this way, and starts breaking. That's what the Ruach does. It guides you into all truth. Let me take you back. Let me tell you about the patriarchs. Let me tell you about the Torah. Let me tell you that you guys have been chosen from the foundation of the world. You were chosen, and Yasharel was the witness, because we can get into that. They were the witness. So when they say that you don't have to do no works, no, we got to return to that. Let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse number 1. And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim have driven thee, and shall, I wonder if that word is shub. Let's look it up, right? It is, isn't it? H7725, there it is, shub. And then J and V, in the context it's being used, J and V. So I go down here to the letter J, and J says, a turning back to a previous state or place. That's what he's saying here when he says to return. And V, to turn back. And so, and like you said, we weren't taught correctly, so we don't know what to turn back to. And then when somebody says, hey, you got to return back to that. No, we, that's for them. That's not for us. But he says here, and shall return unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and shall obey his voice. Now, how do we obey his voice? How do you think we're obeying his voice today? What has he given us? He's given us Torah. He's given us the covenant. He's given us a watchman. Yeah. But what has he given you individually? What has he given you? The Ruach. And the Ruach is to guide you. So you should hear the voice. Your Ruach should be telling you this. If your Ruach is connected to Torah, which his Torah is Ruach, you can't separate his words you can't separate Torah from his Ruach, from his word. Because we don't have to go there, but in Yahuchanan 6, and verse number 63, I think it is, he says, my words, they are life and what? Spirit. That's what he said. He said, my words, they are spirit and they are life. So it's Ruach. His words are Ruach. You can't separate Ruach from his word. The word breathes. It breathes. And what do we call breath in Torah? Breath is being. And that's where we get our species is known as what? Human beings. Because we have breath, we have life. We got Ruach. That Ruach that he gives us is going to guide us into all truth, so that we can return unto him, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children. But there's a condition on it. The condition is you have to do it with all your heart. No half-stepping. I'm half in. Half in means you all out. That's how we were taught. We were taught half truth is a whole lie, and you can't be halfway in. We used to say that all the time. You can't be halfway in here. You got to get all the way in here. And that's a condition that Yah has given us. I want you to return and obey my voice, and I want you to do it with all your heart. With all your heart and with all your soul. And the soul is that inner person that he's given to you that is going to live forever. This body that you have, when we die, the body goes back to the earth from which it came from. We're the dust of the earth. The breath or the being of us goes back to Elohim, who gave us the breath of life. He breathed through his nostrils the breath of life, and then man became what? So that soul now, that soul is that inner person, because you're a trichotomy, but that soul is what goes to sleep until that teruah sounds of resurrection, and you coming back. You're coming back to this dimension, but you ain't going to come back in the same body. So you're going to come back. And so we have to do it with all of our soul, even that inner person, our outside shell. Yes. Oh, really? I haven't seen it. Is it out now? Oh, okay. What's it called? Soul. Soul. It probably deals with that inner person. Yeah. 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 Because they know, a lot of them know Torah, and so they'll put messages out there, but a lot of times we don't see it. You got to have a trained eye, even with a counterfeit. You got to have a trained eye to recognize what's a counterfeit. If you don't have a trained eye, we can run $100 bills through here all the time. You don't know the difference. So, but they send a lot of messages out there, and if your ruach is awoken, and you'll be able to see a lot of things, especially that the enemy's doing. Satan knows, yeah, man, this thing is winding up. And he knows how many people's on earth, and he's trying to get them. But the ones he really wants is Yasharel. He wants Yasharel because he knows Yasharel is what unto Abba Yahuwah. Yasharel is the apple of his eye. Yasharel is the apple of his eye. He loved Yasharel. He made a covenant with Yasharel. That's the only nation that he made a covenant with. In this Torah, you won't find it where he made a covenant with another nation. He has used heathens and even heathen king. One of them I could think of right now, Cyrus, that Isaiah 55. And he said, Cyrus is my anointed, or my, you know what we use for anointing? He's my what? He's my Mashiach. He's the Messiah. Because I anointed him. But he anointed him to do a work in that particular day, and he did the work in that day for Yasharel. Then that was it. He wasn't his only begotten son, because Yahusha, it says Yahusha was anointed. He was, because we see that in Acts 2:36, right? This same Yahusha that you crucified, Abba Yahuwah has made what? Adonai and Mashiach. He was made the Mashiach through Abba Yahuwah. And Cyrus was his anointed, and that same, it says in English, it says anointed, but if you look that word up, it's Mashiach. It's Mashiach. So he can use whoever he wants to use. He can use heathen, king. He says, I raise up kings and I take them down. I'm the one that does that. So they're all under my hand and my authority, But he made a covenant with Yasharel. And yeah, because Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon, they had their gods, they had their elves, but he said, hey y'all, ain't no Elohim like Yasharel's Elohim, ain't none like him, because he's the only wise and true Elohim. I mean, all of the other ones, they're just a part of his creation. Did he create all those guys? Yeah, he created. He even says it. I created. He says in Isaiah, I created good and evil. You mean that tree of good and evil in the garden? He made all of them. He made all of that. He created evil. So, when we see a lot of evil out there, but he's chosen his vessels that we can overcome evil. Because all of his chosen vessels, there's no reason why you can't overcome evil. So that then, verse number 3, Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse number 3, that then Yahuwah thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of the Shamaim, from thence will Yahuwah thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And this is something that Yahusha quoted in Matthew 24, and I think it's verse number 31. He quotes this. He quotes it almost verbatim out of Deuteronomy. And we'll get that real quick. Matthew 24, and I think it's verse number 31. Let's see. Yes. I'll read verse 30, because we're coming up to this time. We're on the doorstep. We're on the doorstep. And when he talks about, the Torah talks about, and the Besorah talks about the end of the world, it doesn't mean non-existence. It's the end of the Gentile reign, because Yasharel is not self-governed. They're not self-ruled. Yasharel is scattered to the four corners. So if you have a government, or if you have a people that can return to a government, a present government today, that's not Yasharel. It's not. So you look at all the countries in North America, the countries in Central America, the countries in South America, the countries in Europe, the countries in Africa, the countries in Asia. If anybody can return to any one of those countries and be self-governed, then you're not Yasharel. You're not Yasharel. Because right now, Yasharel is not self-governed. They are in the government. He says, I'm going to scatter you into the nations. He says, I'm going to sift you. One of the prophets, I can't think of which prophet it is. I've read it though. He says, I'm going to sift you into all these other. Has anybody seen a sifter, like what you can sift flour and stuff like that? That's what he did. I'm just going to scatter you like pepper and salt. I'm just going to gather you and send you all to all these other nations. And Yasharel is not self-ruled. They're not self-governed. But when he returns, he's going to gather us. We will be self-governed, but we will have a king. We will have a king. And our king is going to be Yahusha, because that's what we always wanted. Most High Yah says, I'm your king. They told Samuel, no, we want a king like all these other nations. And so he gave them Shaul out of the tribe of Benjamin. And Most High Yah knew what he was doing, because the prophecy was already given through the line of Judah. Back in Genesis 49, he's already given it through the line of Judah. You know, the scepter shall not depart from Judah until what? Shiloh come. And to him shall be the gathering of the people. So Most High Yah, he knows what he wrote. He knows his prophecy. He knows what the blessing. He knows that. But he gave them Shaul out of the tribe of Benjamin. And then after that, you had King David out of the tribe of Judah. And the scepter wasn't going to depart from that until Most High Yah sends his only begotten Son. He sent him the first time to be our sacrifice, to fill the office of priest. And then he's going to come and reign and fill the office of king, because we're going to be a royal priesthood. I mean, so he came as through the, I thought he was through the tribe of Judah. He was through the tribe of Judah. But what house was Miriam connected to? Anybody know? Huh? Yeah, Louis, the Levites, the Louis, because who was her cousin? Yeah, right. What's her name? Elizabeth. That was her cousin. So she was of that house, the house of Levi, or the house of Louis. So he came. Did he come through Judah? Yeah, he came through Judah, but he filled the office of the priest because he had to offer himself as a sacrifice for our sins. So he filled that role. And when he returns, he's not returning to sacrifice himself again. He did that once for all. It says that in Hebrews, right? He only had to offer himself once and for all. That's it. So when he returns, he's returning as the king and to sit on the throne. And so Yasharel will be gathered from the four corners, from one end of the Shamaim to the other. That's what he says here, right? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in Shamaim, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. They're going to mourn. They're going, here comes their king. Here comes their king. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of Shamaim with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, or the shofar, or the teruah. So there's going to be the sounding of the trumpet. So we're coming up on that. So it's time to awaken. Even when he returns. And I think that's why in what they call it Jerusalem, I'm not convinced that that's Jerusalem, but at this time of season, and we're moving up to Teruah, you know what you hear that goes on for hours and hours and hours around Jerusalem? You hear the sounds of the shofar. It just rings for almost 24 hours, just all day. It's just going off and off, just ringing and ringing and ringing throughout the whole city. When he returns, the sound of the trumpet, it's not just going to be for Yasharel, for us to hear, but the whole world is going to know. The whole world is going to know it. And it says, with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with the sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the Shamaim to the other. And we used to sing that song years ago, remember? When that great trumpet sounds, where will you be? I remember my first pastor, Bishop Boy, used to sing that song. Where will you be when that great trumpet sound? But Yasharel is going to be scattered to the four corners. And so when the sounding of that trumpet is to let his people know it's time to gather. I'm gathering you. I'm bringing you together no matter where. And where's Yasharel going to be? They're going to be scattered into all these countries. Where's the countries at? All over the world. You got North and South America, North, Central, South America. You got Europe, Asia. You got Africa. And in Africa itself, there's 54 countries in Africa. So you got Yasharel that's scattered in Africa. They're not going to all be in one place. There's Israelites going to Africa now. They're going to different countries. You got Nigeria, you've got Ghana, you got South Africa, just to name a few, Botswana, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Chad. I mean, they're starting to move into all these, and most of those countries that we named are sub-Saharan countries, and so Yasharel is going to be there. Yasharel is going to be scattered all over, and he's the one that's going to bring them in, and I do believe the gathering together of his people is going to be before all these missiles start flying to destroy the world, because these world leaders have pretty much committed to total annihilation. If you shoot a missile at us, we're retaliating with a missile. They'll all be up in the air at the same time. If we get intelligence, or we got satellites up there and we see that missiles are lifting off of Russia and they hypersonic and everything, because you can tell when they send them up, and we got satellites around the world, so you can tell when they send them up and they're hypersonic. You think we're just gonna, I wonder if that's gonna hit us. Oh no, we're sending up. You're coming after us. And they have nuclear warheads, boom, boom. That's why they carry those briefcases with the world leaders with them all the time, everywhere they go. Our president doesn't go nowhere without it. And Putin and some of these other countries that have, those leaders don't go nowhere without that. They got those to where they could, if they're not in the capital or whatever, they can launch those codes and send them. Because I'm telling you, if United States, with their satellites and intelligence, if they see those missiles lifting off of Russia, you can believe we're going to send off some missiles too. They're coming. They're coming. That's how. I mean, we're that close. We're that close. And yeah, destruction is going to come within an hour. In an hour, yeah. It's that and Shaul said the same thing. They'll be saying peace and safety, then what? Sudden destruction. But it's gonna. But if you look at our media and those who follow the media and the propaganda news sites and stuff, not too many people know that we're that close to all out, nuclear strikes. We're that close. Yeah. Revelations 18. Did you say Revelations 18:19? Okay, and they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Right. And this is, that would be, see, you have Mystery Babylon, and I know a lot of people say Mystery Babylon is around the world, which it is. I think Mystery Babylon is in a lot of these different countries. There is a world power now that brags about being the world power, and they want their imperialism to be around all the face of the earth. And anybody know what that imperialism is? It's what we call democracy, because we want every nation to be like us. If you don't have a democracy, you're vulnerable to us, because we'll come in, we'll kill your king, your leader, whatever you have. And if you want to be our ally, you need to be a democracy. They try to force their rulership on a lot of nations. And so is Mystery Babylon just here, or is it all around the world? Mystery Babylon, I believe Mystery Babylon is around the world. But that snake has a head. Every serpent has a head. And so you cut off the head, and what happens? I mean, so there's a head to Mystery Babylon. There's a headquarters to Mystery Babylon. And so I think, to me, what I believe, that headquarters of Mystery Babylon is right here. It's right here. They brag about it. What do they say? We're the greatest. We have the greatest military power on earth. We are the leaders of what? The free world. We have. How many people know how many military bases we have around the world? Anybody? Because you can Google it. You can Google it. And how many military bases we have around the world? It's over 200 military bases around the world. The next one close to us, I think, is either Russia or China, and I think they might have like 8. I mean, it's not even close. And you can Google it. I mean, it's not even close. So when they brag about being the leaders of the free world and democracy, we want democracy to rule the world and all of that, they're letting you know who they are. They're letting you know. We are in the belly of the beast. We're in the belly of the beast, and Yah has to deliver us. He has to deliver us. But the ones that he's going to deliver, like he said, the ones that he's going to deliver, let's go back to Isaiah chapter 20. No, Isaiah chapter 10 and verse number 21. The ones that he's going to deliver, the remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob unto the mighty Elohim. For though thy people Yasharel be as the sand of the sea, Yet a remnant of them shall return. A remnant of them is going to shub, a remnant. So when you read Deuteronomy chapter 30, and he says, when you hear this, you see these blessings and curses, and he talks about the returning, and you have to return with all your heart and all your soul. Who's he speaking to? Yasharel, but who in Yasharel? The remnant. He's speaking to the remnant in Yasharel. If the remnant will return unto, because that's what he says here, the remnant shall return, the remnant of Jacob unto the mighty Elohim. For though thy people Yasharel be as the sand of the sea, which means, now nobody can count the sand of the sea. I mean, if you pick up some sand in your hand, you'd be surprised how many pebbles of sand that you have in your hands, because it's so tiny, so minuscule, so small. But he says Yasharel is going to be like that. But even though Yasharel is in the millions, because Yasharel knows how to multiply. We don't die, we multiply. Right? But y'all know they're trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us. They put those, I'm sorry to go off, but they talk about, has anybody, what does the word reproduction mean? Does anybody know what reproduction means? So what they're saying is, we want to give you reproduction rights. Well, to reproduce means, if you see me, if I reproduce me, what are you going to see? You're going to see my sons. You're going to see my sons and my daughter, because I'm reproducing. I'm reproducing. So they said, we want to give you reproduction rights. Oh, you're going to help me make more Richards. Is that what you're going to do? You're going to help me make more Richards? No. Richards. We want to help you kill them Richards, but we're going to call it reproduction rights. And you know what? We fall for it. Yes. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. So it's, you talk about a smoke screen, you talking about, and I don't wear a cape. Y'all know I don't wear a cape for the blue team and the red team. I don't, and this is not a place for politics, but I'm not stupid now. I'm not stupid. And there's, I think our choices, if you ask me, they're horrible, but there's no way I'm going to vote for somebody that they say looks like me. If that's your only reason, that's just that's stupidity. That's just downright stupidity. This person can say, hey, I'm going to kill all y'all. Well, they look like me. I'm going to vote for them. That is so, I can't believe, Yashua, I can't believe how stupid we are. I mean, we are, but here, let's read this. Oh, help me, Abba Yah. I can't believe people. My people, this is Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Because y'all dumb. That's, I don't mean to laugh. It's not funny. But because you rejected knowledge, he says, you can't be no priest to me. You can't be my priest, and you've rejected knowledge. Now, ignorance is different from knowledge, because you can be very knowledgeable but be ignorant of one thing. Somebody could come in here and talk about, a chemistry major, and talk about some of the things about chemistry and the nucleus and all that. I can be ignorant to a lot of that, but I ain't dumb. I ain't stupid. I mean, I can learn it and everything. So when you say there's a difference between ignorance and then not having knowledge, but he says we're destroyed because we lack that knowledge. So you got people that's going to vote for somebody because they've been told she's one of you, even though she ain't going to do nothing for you, and she's going to kill your babies. But she's going to call it reproductive rights, but she's going to kill all y'all. It does. Let me move on, because it doesn't make no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the threat against democracy, it's again. If this nation tumbles, don't you know that's Yah's will? Because he says, I raise up and I tear down. I'll raise up a king, I'll take him down. So we look at, well, man, no. If this nation crumbles, that's Yah's doing. And we ought to say, hallelujah, because we have a better place. We have a better place. This is how close we are to the end. And it's like we talked about the feast. It's time for us to wake up. There's a lot to learn about Teruah as we get to it, and the sound of the trumpet. And when they would sound the trumpet, there was different meanings. So we, unpacking and peeling back a lot of those different meanings. And one thing that we need to look at is this feast of trumpets as he peels it back and we learn the different meanings. One thing you have to remember is he's revealing in this day. He's bringing revelation. He's bringing revealing. And you have to know who is the people he's using to bring revelation. So let's go to Psalms 147 and verse 19. Psalms 147:19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Yasharel. So his Torah, and what's in his Torah, what's in his word? Well, when you talk about the word of Elohim, all of the mysteries in Torah, he's gonna show it unto Jacob. The revelations that's in Torah, he's going to show it unto Jacob. Now, is it just one person in Jacob? Because I don't think one person has it all. No, but he reveals it to his servant. So, verse number 20, he have not dealt so with any nation. No other nation. He's not giving his word to any other nation. So when we sound the Teruah and we understand that the Teruah is bringing revelation today, it's waking us up. You set an alarm to wake up out of sleep. I got to wake up. It's time to wake up. He gives it. There's another verse. I'm going to finish this, but I'm going to bring out another verse. They have not known them, and for his judgments they have not known them. Praise ye Yahuwah, or hallelujah. So the other nations have not known the judgments, but they are going to know them. They are going to know the judgments as we see this thing wind down and we see the end of this age. These other nations are going to know, and I think it's verse number 7. Surely the sovereign Yahuwah will do nothing, but what does he do? He revealeth his secrets, the revelation of his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. So the servants of Yahuwah, and he's given those revelations to his prophets. So where is revelation? In the prophets. Revelation is in the prophecy. And who stays away from prophecy? There's a whole thick binding part from the history of Yasharel to the Besorah. And that's called anybody know what that's called? Apocrypha, not really the Apocrypha, but what do they call that book of the prophets? It's called what? The Tanakh. You got the Torah, you got the history, you got the Tanakh, you got the Apocrypha, you got the Besorah. But that whole section of the prophets, They don't deal with that because prophecy, the secrets of prophecy or the secrets of Yahuwah was given to the prophets. So from Isaiah, from Isaiah to Malachi, if you cannot break down what's about to happen and what's going on in this day, then you don't understand it. But they don't teach us to study the prophets. They don't teach us to study the prophets. They teach you to study Acts and the letters of Shaul. That's what they teach you to study. Study Shaul. What I heard somebody say, why are you looking in the Old Testament? You don't need to be looking in there. Well, he's revealed it. He's revealed his secrets unto the prophets. And so if I can understand prophecy, if I can go to Isaiah through Malachi and I can understand prophecy, I can understand the secret things of Elohim, the secret things of Elohim. So, secret things of Elohim he gives unto his prophets, right? So in this is what I wanted to get to today. We're going to finish it up here. But I did want to say something on this point as we return unto him and we return unto his Torah in Psalms 119 and 105. Psalms 119 and 105. I think something happened to our live. What's going on up there, media room? Can you hear me, Okoti? John A., what's? Because I don't think we're live. Anyway, this is what we have to do as we return unto him and as we wait patiently, because it's about to happen. This is an old teaching in Psalms 119 and 105. Everything that we discuss and almost everything we talked about, we got from the Torah, the Tanakh. Huh? Are we live? Okay. We got from the Torah and the Tanakh. You lost everyone on the live. Are you on Facebook or YouTube? Facebook? Okay. Okay. Psalms 119 and 105. And I want to leave this in your hearing. No, not that one. Not 105. Psalms 119 and I think is it verse 5? I think that's one I want. Verse 11. Psalms 119 verse 11. That's the one I want. Psalms 119 verse 11. That's what I want. That's what I'm going to finish up with. What happened, I don't think we're... Maybe it's just my phone? Okay. Psalms 119 and verse 11, thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. This Torah, this word that he's talking about here, is what we have pretty much discussed tonight. All of our scriptures, everything that we're referring to, we're going to, outside of Romans 11, which was talking about the elect, and then Yahusha, he is Torah. He's Torah made flesh, right? That's what it says. The word was made flesh. So when we say Yahusha, he's Torah made flesh. So that Torah, thy word have I hid in my heart, Okay, everyone had to switch over to the new live. I don't know what happened. Okay, could just be my. Maybe it's just mine. I don't know why I can't get one. Can't get live. Anyway, um, uh, the word or the Torah, it starts with Genesis and it goes to Yahushua Mashiach, our Messiah, because the word was made flesh. So all of that, anything after that has to tie in to what has already been given. You can't get a new doctrine starting with Acts and going to Revelation. Everything that happens in Acts, you have to be able to use Torah or the word doctrine in the book of Acts. And so that Torah, thy word, that's what we got to hide in our hearts, because if you if you're ignorant of his word, then most likely you're going to transgress because you don't know what you're going to. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So I have to have that Torah. I have to have that word. I have to have those instructions because I don't want to sin against him. I don't want to transgress against him because I know the transgressors aren't going to make it in to the kingdom. So I don't want to transgress. And what we're doing now, all of us, we should be practicing on that eternal kingdom that's coming. We should be practicing. And so all of these feasts that we have leads up to that. It leads up to that. The importance of Teruah, the importance of atonement, the importance of Sukkot, all of that is important unto us, and we have to keep that in our hearts. We got to hide it in our hearts because we don't want to sin against him. And he doesn't want us to keep the feast in ignorance. No, I have to understand what it is. I want to understand what Sukkot is. I want to understand what the sukkah and building my own sukkah. And when they built a sukkah, you're anticipating a visitor. You're anticipating a visitor. I wonder who that visitor is that you're anticipating. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that, and we want him to come on in to this tabernacle, and sup with us and dine with us. And Yahusha says, we will come and we will make our abode with you. He says that in Yahukanan, the sixth chapter, I think it's Yahukanan. We will come and make our abode with you, or 16th chapter, I think. We will come and make our abode with you. So the Sukkot and our own personal sukkahs, that should be your body. I'm preparing my body, and that's why Shaul says in Romans 12:1, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto him, which is just your reasonable service, you know. And so I want to have a sukkah or have a place that is acceptable unto him. He can come and dine. He can habitate. He can cohabitate with us, because one thing that he does not want to do is to cohabitate in a sinful vessel or an evil vessel. He didn't know. I want you to. We have to keep ourselves clean. That's why I need a Torah in my heart, so I don't want to sin against him. But any questions or comments as we come to a close on this? Any questions or comments? Okay. No questions or comments? Um, So we're going to bring this to a close. We are going to Waterloo on September 28th, which is a week from this coming Shabbat. We will be traveling to Waterloo and have a feast and a Shabbat feast and gathering with them there. We do have, and I don't know if Akoti Yehudith Yisrael is listening tonight, but we have an immersion on the 28th of September as we go to Waterloo. We're going to immerse somebody in living water in Yahushua's name. So this is our it's a command on us. It's a commandment on us that we have to be born again of water and the Ruach. And so we will be doing that in Waterloo on the 28th. On the 28th. So we're going to be planning for that. And we'll be talking more about the feasts that are coming up, Teruah, and we'll have something here. We'll have our feast here for Teruah, which would be October 4th. And that's on what? Let me see. Let me check. Is that a Friday? Okay. Yeah, it starts Thursday night. Wait a minute. I better check that to make sure. Wednesday night into Thursday. Right. It's Wednesday night at 6 p.m. to Thursday night at 6 p.m. is Teruah. That 24-hour period is Teruah. So we'll be here with a feast and the blowing of the trumpet, the shofar. We'll be here for that, and that would be Thursday night. So instead of having Torah study on Wednesday, October 2nd, we'll just be here Thursday for our feast and trumpets, or Teruah, the blowing of the trumpet. So yes, we won't have Torah study on Wednesday, October 2nd. We're moving that to Thursday, and we'll be here feasting, blowing of the trumpet, and singing and rejoicing. Some songs that we can sing, some times where we can rejoice. This is going to be a time of, it's going to be some revealing going on. The trumpet's going to go off. There's going to be some revealing that's going to go on. So let's keep Akoti Joy Stewart, and I don't know if she's listening tonight, but our deepest sorrow and sympathy. Please accept our condolences, Akoti Joy, and the loss of your mother. And she is. It's kind of difficult for her right now. So let's keep her up in prayer and give her words of comfort and be there for her. We'll come back to you with more information, but she passed away today, and we do say we're sorry and our condolences. So keep her up in prayer. Anything else? Any other announcements? We got anything with any other announcements? We got Shabbat coming up, so we'll be here on Shabbat for our offering unto the Most High, our service unto Him, and then our community, our Mishpacha feast. It's the weekly feast. It's a weekly feast. And we used to do that even a long time ago, didn't we? We used to always there was something we would always come to eat, because that was in us. That was given to us. That was given to us. We gather together and we eat. Because what do we used to say? If we don't know nothing else, we know how to eat, right? We know how to church and we know how to eat. Yep, that's what because that was in us. It's amazing that He put that in us, because He intended for us to have a weekly feast. That's why He said here in Hebrews 10:25, and I'm finishing up. That's why He says here, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, especially those who went after Constantine. But this was written well before Constantine's creed. This goes back to the 1st century. And they would assemble on the weekly Shabbat, and they would assemble on the feast days. That's what they did. That's what they did. Now, we went to a further level, didn't we? Because we used to go almost every day. we was assembling 5 times out of a week of 7 days. But this assembly here is speaking of the weekly assembly, the Shabbat feast. Then you had your monthly feast, which was the new moon of every month, was a time of feasting. And we see that in Psalms. And I'm sorry, I told you I was done. But we see that in Psalms chapter 81, where he says, blow up the trumpet in the new moon, which is the beginning of the month, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So the first day of the month is a solemn feast day. So when he says, don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together, it's talking about the weekly feast, the new moon feast, and then we have our 7 feasts in Leviticus 23. That's what he meant by don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together, because he's talking to Hebrews. He wasn't talking to Christians. He was talking to Hebrews. And so we have to understand that and understand the context of it. Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to say shalom, and we'll see you back on the Sabbath. Shalom.